Welcome to Project Candor, where ordinary people share the most unexpected stories. I'm your host, Jeanne Anderson. Today's conversation opens the door to the experiences that shape not just an educator, but the man behind the classroom. Eric Austin is a lifelong educator with more than 20 years of experience teaching in Forsyth County schools in North Carolina and nearly a decade with Greenville County schools in South Carolina. He has been honored as Teacher of the Year and received multiple Teacher of the Month awards. But what truly defines Eric is how deeply he cares about his students and their learning. Coming from humble beginnings and having lost his father during his teenage years, Eric understands firsthand how much a steady, caring presence can matter. Whether in the classroom or simply showing up consistently, he's known for investing in young people, pushing them to grow, believe in themselves, and become more than they thought possible. And today's guest is also a little special to me because Eric is my first cousin. Eric, I'm really glad you're here today.
Well, thanks for inviting me. This is the first time for me.
Well, I'm sure you're going to do great because I know we talked earlier and you were pointing out technology things to me in our first conversation. So I want to go into some questions, but I want to just go first and start in a very simple human place. If your students had to describe you using only 3 words, what do you hope they'd say?
I would like to think they're funny, even the dad jokes. They like that, even though they say they hate them. Just some humor. So I guess
what are the dad jokes? I don't even know what they are.
All kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. I can't think of any right now. My wife was actually looking at some pictures that I took from my back. It's a whiteboard now, and I started with a blackboard, then we wrote with chalk, and now the whiteboard, erase board, they were writing stuff on there about dad jokes, and we enjoy them even though they're dumb, but we still laugh at them or something like that. So I hope humor, because learning is a serious business, but you got to be able to laugh at yourself, laugh at your teacher, and I'd much rather them laugh at me than laugh at other kids in a bad way.
Honestly,
at such a tough age. I'm serious, and sometimes I tell them don't confuse my humor with me being serious or not. And
that's confusing, Eric.
It's confusing. But I'll tell them, I'm like, look, okay, now we got to get serious. We had our jokes and this is serious. And they know when I say that, okay, everything else aside. But so humorous, serious, and I guess probably caring without really thinking about it. If I see a kid who needs something, I would get that to them. And I bonded with a lot of my kids that didn't have fathers or good home situations through wrestling. And I met them, I got to know them more, but I realized there was a whole lot more kids I was teaching than I was coaching that were in very similar situations as well. So caring, fun, or humorous, and serious about school. Yeah.
Well, when you're talking, you sound a lot like your dad, who I'll have to mention was a wonderful man and a great uncle. And he was very serious at times, but he was very humorous. We used to love to hang out with him. He was kind of a person that as kids, we would go, you weren't even born yet, but we would go there as really young kids and spend the night. And 2:00 in the morning, he'd wake us up and say, let's cook some eggs and brains, pork brains, which I could not eat that now if you gave me money. But we'd get up and we had so much fun with him. He was so much fun. So I can see that in you with your students. It's something, you lost young, and I also lost his sister, my mom, when I was young. But they were very humorous and fun to be around. So I can see that being a good word for you, humorous. So anything else on that?
About Dad? Well, Dad was I guess he was a Southern Baptist preacher, and I guess that's the denomination he was in. And we lived in St. Louis, Missouri, while he went to seminary out there. And then we moved back here where he had a couple churches. But yeah, we lost him when I was just starting in the ninth grade. I was about maybe 1 week into my ninth grade year when he passed.
And what is that with him? I think I was in my 10th year when Mom passed. And then, so we just need to ask them when we see them again. Why'd you have to go so young?
Right.
'Cause I really needed you. I remember writing your father. You can ask your mom, but I remember writing him when I was in the Navy, and they had the biggest joke on me because instead of saying Mr. Austin, like and sending it to their, I just said Uncle David
Right.
on the letter and addressed it to him. And they thought that was so funny, but that's who he was. He was my uncle.
Hey, since we broached that subject, you had a thing on you sent to me about anything you want to talk about specifically. And I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but as you know, that my dad contracted ALS and passed away. And last summer I was talking to a friend that I used to be a neighbor to, and that person works for the VA hospital. I mean, the Veterans Affairs. And we would never have that conversation, but that person's significant other was talking to me, and that first time I met that person. And we were talking about Dad being in Korea and having ALS, and that person's mom contracted ALS as well and passed away. But right after that, like in the military, if you have a cancer or you have some ailment of like trauma or PTSD, there's VA money out there for you. And it's pretty significant. And they just added ALS to that, and I think in the 2010. And I didn't know that. And that conversation never would have come up with my old neighbor, but, vetting the boyfriend, not really, just getting to know him, that came up, and he said, well, you can get money for that. And we applied for it and got it. It's for widows or spouses of people that die with one of those ailments. And they only know, people who served in the military, they only know less than 10% of the spouses. I mean, if you were in Korea, my mom's 80, getting ready, well, she just turned 86. So, they're not ones like getting the emails and looking at their own mail, but, there's money out there for people with ALS. That's probably a much lesser known thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't ever, so he was the only one in our family that had ALS. So that was odd. Do you think it was military related? I don't even know much about
they don't know
ALS.
either. But problem with ALS is it would be extremely weird, extremely rare to get. It's even more extreme if it's within the same family. So that would never happen. But they don't really know what causes it. They never have known what causes it. They're still researching it. But so they just put it in there with all the other things that, I mean, you could get cancer and it not be related to military service, but they go ahead and, help people out with that. So they just eventually put ALS in that category as well. I just thought that was something neat that most people don't know.
Right. If someone's listening, that would be great information for them if this is happening in their family. Okay. And they have veterans that are associated.
Absolutely.
Was your dad in the Army, I believe?
He was in the Army.
Yeah.
From what I understand, he went in at 17 and I think he got out at 21. So he was born in 1940. So he started in 1957. I think he was the last years in Korea.
Oh, okay.
He didn't actually go to Korea. From what I understand, he was stationed in Germany where they were still watching, Germany after the fall of the Nazi party. They still had to have some people patrolling there.
Okay.
For safety reasons, I guess.
Okay.
That's something I never was able to ask him because, at 13, 14 years old, I didn't really have any interest in that. And he'd been sick
Right.
since I was like 11 or 12. So there were a lot more pressing issues, I would say, for a 12-year-old than asking about.
Then going back into your parents' past.
Yeah.
I know. It's like sometimes I talk to my kids and I'm just thinking, you don't really care at all, do you? I try to tell them some things that happened, but oh well. But it's all relative. They'll learn for themselves, I guess. But yeah, it would be nice now to go back and ask your dad all these things. I mean, I went over there and we could go in a whole big scenario about him, but he and his brother, Don, would always hang out and play on those CB radios. People probably listening now probably don't know anything about CB radios, but he would always be on there, breaker or whatever, and then come back. And I was just like, what is this lingo you're talking? I didn't even have a clue. And he would spend hours on that talking to people after he got back for the military. But that's before he got married and before you. And I was so young then. I was just like, I'm not going to say I was like in my cognizant years because I was just hanging out with my uncle as a kid, getting babysat.
Just being a teenager.
Yeah, I wasn't a teenager. I was like,
what's funny is I don't know if
really young.
I don't know if you do Pandora, the music stations. You can create music stations, but on my radio, it's like, oh, if you like these songs, you might like this station, and it was like a country 1970s vinyl. So I got like some Merle Haggard and I got some Neil Diamond and Olivia Newton-John on there. Not the disco stuff, but just that I honestly love you and type stuff like that. And you mentioned CB radios, and I swear the first time C.W. McCall came on with was that Convoy, that song?
Oh, right. Yes.
Every time I start the car up, it's almost always playing in the first two songs.
You must be listening to some satellite radio, CB trucker.
That was just a funny little scenario that.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, but this is our family is a musical family though. Because, when you're thinking about things like that, they always like to sing. Your dad had a great voice. And I don't know if you sing at all, but then your brother's a musician. I don't know about your younger brother. I don't know. Does he sing? Do you guys sing or play anything?
Not publicly. Maybe some karaoke when it's just family members, but
oh, okay.
We don't. I usually have a couple go-to songs for my karaoke, and probably the easiest one to pull off for a non-singer is Oak Ridge Boys' Elvira, because you can do that papa mouth.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
I can get by with that. And
do you have a bass voice? Your dad had a bass voice.
I think my voice has just gotten deeper over the last couple years, last decade or whatever, but.
Yeah, but this whole family on your side, my mom and your whole family on that side is just music crazy. And, if you ever visited Uncle Don and, if you had to put on some headphones because his stereo was usually going with something.
Always. I remember when
go ahead.
I remember when he got married to his last wife. I guess it doesn't matter. We said her name.
It doesn't matter.
But anyway, the three of us were all like his groomsmen. I mean, me and my brothers, and I think we were probably ages 8 to 11 or something like that. And I remember going over to his apartment. He had the stereo cranked up. We're trying to talk to him, and the radio's blaring. It's that Baker Street.
Oh, okay.
Saxophone. I'd never heard that before. So every time I hear that song, I think of him. But
yeah, he was funny because he would send me on chases to find songs. He was incredibly diligent one day that I find a song about some people were made for each other, some people were but it's How About Us? That was the name of the song. And I had to go digging for that song, and I found it on a CD, and he's like, give me it. I want that.
Yeah.
But I love the music aspect of our family. I really do, and I still play and piddle around with music. But it's made life fun, and music was a way to get over some of the trauma of loss. I think. Well, let's go back to other questions about you.
Sure.
So this is a fun one. What subject or class would people be shocked to learn that you struggled with growing up?
Growing up,
When you were in school.
well, I always loved history and PE. I was not great at math. I was not really good at English. I did horrible in the SAT portion of that. I actually did good in math and not so great in English. And I majored in history, and you're writing 3 20-page papers for every class you take when I got to college. And I'm like, why did I take this again? So I think I got pretty good at writing and started working on my national boards. And that was a lot of writing, a lot of reflecting. I had to change the way I approached writing when I got to college, because what I got by on writing in high school wasn't, I wrote it all in one night. I didn't reflect about things. I didn't really put the time into it, but it's probably why I didn't do very well at English.
Well, I did okay. I thought I would do better when I took like national exams, but I always did better in math, which I was always surprised. But I think it's because I wrote like I talked, and we came from country. Like, they used to have that Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh, yeah.
And I totally related to him because he'd say used to, could, and all that stuff. I still say that. I can't help it. It's just part of the way we spoke in that area of North Carolina.
I'm guilty as well.
Yeah. So when I write, sometimes I fall into that, double verbs and so forth to try to explain myself. And so I think that's what tripped me up, is just the way we communicated wasn't standard British English or whatever. But that was your worst subject, though, English. Okay.
I guess I tried to go the music route. Alan did it, so I started playing violin as well. I did that for 4 years, and then once I hit high school, I started playing sports, and I didn't have any time for practicing on a musical instrument.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Well, you've taught in 2 different states and school systems. What's something that stayed the same no matter where you taught?
Kids were kids. I taught in challenging schools in both states, and they were very similar and in population wise. That was where I taught in North Carolina was basically where I grew up. So it was real easy. I had a lot of references, and we talked about, restaurants, and we knew the same people. And I came down here as a little different because I had to up my game. I didn't know the area, and I couldn't relate to the kids the same way I could relate to them there. So I had to find other things. But one of the things was kids are always looking for something that will, I don't know, make adults mad.
What?
For example, it's usually technology related. For example, when I first started teaching in 94, pagers were a big deal. We had nobody had a cell phone. No one had TV in the classroom. Nobody had computers. And the kids would get a page from somebody, and we only had 2 payphones in the school, and they were like by the front. And so they'd ask to go to the bathroom, but they would never make it to the bathroom. They'd run up there and make a phone call when they got a pager. Well, then pagers became the little toys, the Tamagotchis or things like that, where you have to keep touching it and keeping it alive, sort of like they do when they get that baby in high school. And they
that they have to carry around and pretend.
Right. Yeah. But when phones came out, that was a game changer. I will tell you, one of the main reasons I left teaching after 30 years was mainly because of cell phones. When I say cell phones, I mean my cell phone. I used to feel like I taught and I talked to kids and I got to know them. And now everything we put on computer online, every kid had a computer now is like they said 1-to-1, but every kid had a computer and they'd spend all this time downloading their playlist and music on that computer. And some kids would sit there and I'd put out like 5 assignments for the week on a computer the week before. And some of them would spend that weekend doing all the assignments. Or they would do just enough and hit enter. So I turned them all in. I'm like, yeah, but this is garbage right here. And they're like, you said my work was garbage. I said, it's garbage. Parents don't like to hear when you tell their kids that work is not good and they're not going to get a good grade.
Yeah,
But the whole thing on my phone.
everybody's so sensitive these
Yeah.
days. But if somebody hadn't told me this paper is terrible or this is just not your best effort or whatever they would say, then I would have just not learned anything.
Well, a couple of years ago, I gave somebody a 97 and they just kept on and on. Well, what's wrong with this paper? I'm like, well, right here, what you wrote, this sentence. I'm like, yeah, well, you could have used a couple other words. You made like a 3-word sentence. Well, but a 97? And I'm like, well, I picked like 3 things off there I took out. She goes, well, can I redo it? I'm like, no, it's a 97. And I'm like, 97's good. They're like, and they just kept on. It would not stop. And I finally said, okay, look, your paper's good, but 3% of it sucks. And I wouldn't say that today, obviously,
Right.
But you could get by with stuff like that years ago. And some of the kids would respect you if you were like brutally honest at times. But anyway, my phone, this thing right here, I used to keep it locked in my car. And then I have to bring it in school because you might need it from time to time. And then we had class management. I've taken those off my phone, but you would give kids points when they did something good. You would take points off when they did something bad. And it kept a running tally of how many points they got. And the school was giving out prizes if you got like 500 points that month or something. And so kids are like, did you give me my points? Did you give me my points? And it got so bad we had to do like hall passes on this. We had to do bathroom passes on this, which were 2 separate things. So we had to have the app on there. We had to have the kid on there. We had seating charts on there. And it just got real tedious, like Tuesday when it was Taco Tuesday, and that takes a little longer in the cafeteria. We wouldn't leave at the regular time. They would text us when we could come. So I'm walking around with this phone. I can't lay down. And I'm like, I'm not even teaching anymore because the kids just did the work online and,
Yeah, you're managing your phone.
Yeah, I'm managing with my phone.
Yeah, I don't know. I get frustrated with the schools when our kids were in high school. They were not making the best of grades, and our punishment was, no, you can't have a smartphone. But then the school started saying, oh, well, they have to have the smartphone because they need to take a picture of this page in the book because we don't have enough books for them to take home. So they need to take their homework home by taking a picture. And I'm like, well, so you're taking all that out of discipline away from me. What am I going to do to make them do the work once they take the picture?
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to do it.
Picture and never look at it again.
I know it. So, well, it is a battle.
Now that I'm sure a lot of that's because I was in the game for 30 years. Now, I'm sure new teachers are coming in and all the stuff, technology, they grew up with it. So they're real proficient. I always made friends with some of the younger people on my hallway, and they were my IT go-to people.
Right.
So they would help me out a lot. But I mean, I was working really hard just to keep pace. Like when they did the online textbook, we didn't give out textbooks anymore. I had to learn how to use that system. And that can be quite challenging if I never even was on a computer until I was probably almost 30. Sounds crazy now. I mean, other than like an Atari video game system or something.
Right.
I think part of the problem is when we were kids, this computer right here, well, I guess when we were not kids, when we were in college age or a little older, computers were you did work on a computer. A computer was to get work done. We didn't have internet, and you wrote papers on there and you did
Hmm.
spreadsheets. But now computers are games and music and entertainment. Oh, well, you can do all these other things, but they don't see it as a work tool first. They see it as like, oh,
Right.
games, and I don't really want to use this thing to do work on. I want to play games, but it's just the
Yeah,
way
you got a lot of
mentality.
competing
Yeah.
agendas on the phones. And also, well, once they're in these phones, then, like you said, they get into this tunnel effect of going into these games and they just want to keep doing the games. But you don't really distance yourself from them. And then you end up, like you said, burning out, and then they don't want to do the work that they're supposed to do on the phones. So, but it's necessary to have the phones nowadays in the school system because you need to coordinate. They need to coordinate their ride home. They need to coordinate with they got to go to the doctor and who's picking them up and all this other stuff. So, yeah, I don't think we can go back. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's a struggle. It
I
is.
wonder how we got along without all this stuff. Actually,
We must have had way lower expectations. I find out that with all
yep.
the things you're capable of doing technology wise and quicker and time savers, they just want you to pack more things in there.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, getting off to your awards, awards are nice, and I know you've had some really great ones. So, but why? They're not why you stayed in education. So, what moment with a student still sticks with you years later?
I have a box of like handwritten notes that kids have given me over the years, like
Oh, that's
through a
nice.
card or is really neat. Like I put on there, I don't really do much social media. I mean,
Hmm.
I'll look and see what my friends are doing, and that's kind of about it. My best friend from fourth grade, I reunited with through Facebook when it came out. I think I started in like late '90s, and we hadn't heard from each other in years. But I'm friends with a lot of my former students. Not while they were students, but mainly my athletes, my wrestlers, my soccer players, my cross country kids. Just seeing what they're doing, going to some weddings, seeing pictures of their kids, and I had a guy, and I don't think it was a nod to me or anything, but I've had quite a few kids name their child Austin.
Oh, nice.
Austin's a
Yeah.
first name now, so
Right. Well, actually, our son is Austin,
I'll,
but I came by it honestly.
I'll go up to get my medicine at CVS, and I'm like Austin. They're like they'll say, "Oh, what's your last name?" I'm like, that is my last name. Sometime about 15 years ago, Austin became a first name.
First thing. Well, there.
But
Yeah. Well, if you go do our DNA, you
yeah,
remember. I don't know if you're on Ancestry, but your cousin, my brother, he did a lot of ancestry research, and there was a Joseph Austin. Was it Joseph Austin or John Austin that got a land grant from King George the Third and came down and had a huge chunk of land in Virginia, North Carolina, and then he had tons of sons, and then it just went out from there. So there's a lot of Austins out there.
all that big lands split up, didn't it?
Yeah, yep. All this land. We have an uncle still out there with a mountain in Asheville, or his family still has it. As far as I know, they might have sold it now. I don't know. But yeah, that was a lot of Austins, and yeah, that's why. And then all the people had kids and kept having kids, and then they started naming their kids Austin. So
It's kind of neat seeing them here, just seeing what they're doing these days, and I still keep in touch with a lot of them.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good, and that's got to be hard. I mean, you don't see the ones from North Carolina, obviously, but so, do you think students learn more from what you say or from how you show up when things get hard?
They really get a sense of you when, it could be easier to do something halfway or the wrong way, but just doing it right every single day. And they'll call you out on it like if you tell a kid not to chew gum in class and then they catch you chewing gum, they let you know it. But I always, they're like, can we chew gum in here? And I said, I'm going to chew gum in here. I said, the only thing worse than a teacher with bad breath is a bunch of students with bad breath. And I said, just don't put it under the desk and, don't drop it on the floor and don't put it in anybody's hair because,
Yeah,
if no other teachers let you do it, you can do it in here.
Oh, well, that's
that
good.
was my personal thing, but I guess modeling it, and I didn't just say, yeah, you can chew gum or no, you can't chew gum. I sort of made a humorous statement out of it, I guess.
Right. So I'm shifting gears a little bit back to, I know we already talked a little bit about you losing your dad early. When that happened, was there someone who stepped in for you during that time, or did you have to figure things out mostly on your own?
Mom was not working at that point because I guess she was taking care of dad. And she went back to work full time, leaving a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old. We had to catch the bus in the mornings. One thing I tell my students is, I said, can your mom cook? And they're like, yeah, mom cooks really well. I said, can you cook? And they're like, no. I said, before you leave your mama's house, you better learn every trick she has in that kitchen. And I remember Mom, we learned a lot of stuff from her, and we kind of took over the cooking. She would take us to the store, and she would, until we started driving, she would take us to the store and we would help shop. But we were responsible for the food day to day. And Brad, the youngest, he always had a pot of tea boiling on the stove, and he always had burgers frying in the pan. He would save those burgers and bring them out throughout the week. And Alan was really good with the fancy stuff. I could make a sandwich. But you met DC and Doris, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
We would always, I did some of those little snap peas the other night, stringing them, and I was remembering back to.
Oh, I haven't done that in I don't know how long. Oh, yeah, I haven't done any of that. Popping those pea pods too to pull out those field peas or whatever. I haven't done that either. Wow.
Mom went back full time to work while we did our thing, and I think as far as someone stepping in, our neighbor next door was one of Dad's friends. He passed away a couple of years ago. He would look in on us.
Okay.
Me and Brad were in Boy Scouts. We would have, our scoutmaster kept pretty good tabs on us, and our coaches looked out for us. I guess that's why I think coaches, fill such a big spot for these young people. Because if I wasn't at home and I was with 3 sports a year, I was with a particular coach every day after school, so they did occupy a lot of my life and kept me out of a lot more trouble I could have gotten into with that. So, I'd come home from wrestling practice. I was exhausted. I'd come in, have a little bite to eat, and I'd go to bed, and that was it.
Right. That's good, though. We had things in after school activities that we were involved in, and you would come home and be exhausted. So do your homework, go to bed. It's like no time to get in trouble.
Right.
So do you think that experience changed how you see kids who are struggling quietly? You've had probably students that you recognize you in.
I won't name the school, but I taught here in a high school before I moved to middle school. After I did 21 years in North Carolina, and then I came here, in 2 years I did a high school, and then I left there, in 7 years I did in the middle school. I got to that high school, and it was very different. We had people that parents worked at hospitals, or they worked at, we got Michelin here, a big Michelin plant. We got a big BMW plant. I almost said,
I was going to say, was it Audi or BMW?
I don't think it matters. I'm not stepping on anybody's toes if I mention
no,
the wrong.
But they know they're there.
Yeah. BMW. I didn't want to say the wrong one, but anyway, so a lot of these kids came from these affluent families, But there is a much smaller minority than I'm used to. Kids of all colors and kids of very poor backgrounds. And that's what I was used to teaching. So that was common for me. You know, I could talk to the poor kids. I could talk to all the other kids. And they started flocking to my classroom. And I had an assistant principal come by and look around, and I might have had like 30 kids in my classroom after school. Or
Oh, wow.
we had this thing where you had 30 minutes for remediation. You had 30 minutes for lunch. You had an hour in there. And like, so we always had like the first half hour. So the kids would come in my room and make up work and get missing assignments. Well, I had a lot of these kids coming in there. It was the alternative crowd, had a lot of emo kids, a lot of kids with green or yellow hair, different ethnicities, different nationalities. And I had an assistant principal that came by, and he said, "Eric, you got a very diverse crowd in that group of yours." And I looked around, I said, "Well, this is pretty much the kids I taught at my last school for 21 years. And he goes, "That's great. There's a big need for that here at this school." And I was like, wow, you know, I didn't really notice that anybody noticed. Wasn't trying to get noticed. I mean, those are just the kids that would come in because they felt comfortable around me. And, you know,
That's great.
meet them in class first, and they felt comfortable about how I treated them in class to come back and spend their free time in my room. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love that about you. Oh, well, okay. So before we wrap up, we're going to switch gears and play our signature game, Two Truths and a Lie. So are you ready for it?
I am. We'll see how that goes.
So
What you got?
You have provided me with 3 stories. We know that 2 are true and 1 is a lie or kind of twisted a little bit. So I'm going to read them out loud and share my screen. And then we're going to have you explain. Well, actually, I'm going to guess which one I think's the lie. And then you're going to explain these stories to us. And then everybody will play along. And at the end, you'll tell us which one's the lie.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let me share the screen. This episode is sponsored by Rebel 180, the home of brave pivots and fresh starts. Rebel 180 is all about helping you rediscover what's possible when you stop settling and start listening to that little tug inside that says, life can be different. Whether you're navigating a career shift, dreaming about a new direction, or standing at the crossroads wondering if it's time for your own 180-degree turn, Rebel 180 is a reminder you don't need permission to change your story. Sponsor, we're stepping into the world of tech. Simple Socket Print, the lightweight, blazing fast label print solution designed for those who need reliability without the bloat. With version 1.5, you get instant printing in milliseconds, fully maintained print sequence, and automatic base 64 decoding, all without needing print driver installs. If you're running SQL Server 2016 or newer, Simple Socket Print 1.5 drops right in and gets to work. Keep your workflow simple. Keep your label printing fast with Simple Socket Print. Thank you to our sponsors. Here are our 2 truths and a lie. Your number 1 headline is Before the Classroom, the lacrosse field. So Eric competed as a Division I lacrosse player in college. That's story number 1. Story number 2, the semi-retired chapter. Eric is a semi-retired and is currently on a quest with his wife to visit every South Carolina state park. And the number 3 story is a surprising favorite. Eric's all-time favorite movie is Citizen Kane, and he's watched it 6 or 7 times. If it's your favorite, is that enough times? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to guess. I might be at a disadvantage here. I sort of think that number 1 is incorrect. But I'll let you tell us each of these stories, and then at the end, tell us which one's the truth. So start with number 1.
Well, you were saying we'd play that, and I said, well, let's see how that goes, because one of the words you said are you used the word twisted in there. So, I started to put in, I don't like, or I like sushi. Sushi's my favorite food, which it is not. I mean, most people would say, "Oh yeah, I love sushi." I'm like, how? But anyway, I didn't put that in. You took out the one where I put my brother has been nominated for a Grammy. That was
Well, because he's going to be on the show. You can't take his story. One of these days when I
one of
track
these
him down.
days. So, most kids are like Grammy, and I don't want to give away too much here. But anyway,
Yeah, do not.
yeah, okay, never mind. Moving on. Yes, I've never played lacrosse in my life. I did play sports in college. I was a wrestler on the team there for 2 years, and then my grades got pretty bad. I was on probation, off probation, on probation, off probation for academics, and then I met my wife, and
Ooh, she straightened you out.
she straightened me out pretty good. I just didn't know how to study, and I remember after I met her, I said, "Can I come by your dorm Wednesday?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm studying for a test." And I'm like, "Yeah, right, whatever." And I get over there and she is studying. I said, "When's your test?" She goes, "In 2 weeks." I was like, 2 weeks?
Concept unknown.
And then I learned real quick, if I wanted to see her at all during the week, I better bring some books to study. And so after I met her, I started getting really good grades, and I started making dean's list. And my last semester there, I made a all A's 4.0
Oh, wow.
with about
And you were can you say your
Oh
college?
yeah, I was at NC State in Raleigh. That's where we met. And she
The
actually
Wolf Pack.
Wolfpack. Yeah, she actually wanted to go to NC State because she heard that she was from a little small town in North Carolina. And she heard that the ratio was like 5-to-1 men to women. So she didn't want to go to a school like Meredith, which was all women. She wanted to go to some, and I was.
I didn't want to go there either.
I was a lucky winner. So we ended up together. We dated 6 years before we got married, and this will be year 31 in July.
Oh, very nice. Congratulations.
That's a long.
So you told us the lie in anyway. So that's okay. We already know now.
Sorry,
You were a wrestler and not a lacrosse player.
Right, as my mother-in-law would put it. Long story dull. Yeah.
All right, number 2. Are you really going out looking for every state park?
Actually, I am. They have this book here in South Carolina. You get a little stamp every time you go someplace. I guess it's not really
State park passport.
Yeah, it's not really a quest with my wife. It's a quest for me, but she goes on a lot of them. But I've been to a lot she doesn't go to. So I try to either hike or fish, or do like a nature walk. Every which one of them I go to. There's 2 here that have golf courses on those, but I haven't been to those places yet. But anyway,
well, that sounds like fun.
The problem is there's 47 state parks in my passport.
Oh,
I got like 6 left.
Don't they all look alike?
Some of them do. Some of them do. They're getting ready to add, I think, 7 or 8 new parks. But I'm going on my old passport book. If I get that filled up, then
you're good.
I get my free T-shirt.
Oh, that's cool.
Austin will do anything for a free T-shirt.
You're funny. What about Citizen Kane? Why do you like that?
Why do I like that? About 5 years ago, I discovered Turner Classic Movies, and I never cared about old movies at all. And so I was like,
no, you're not like me. I did a lot of old movies. I love them.
Well, I'm going to watch every Humphrey Bogart movie there is just to see what the fuss is about. And he's good, but I still don't know what the fuss is about. But I always heard Citizen Kane was the best movie ever. I'm like, So the first time I tried to watch it, I couldn't get through it. Second time I watched it, I got through it. I'm like, you know, that might be worth seeing again. So I saw it a third time. And then every time I watch it, it gets better and better. And
Really? I have to watch it now because I don't remember it, but it wasn't it Orson Welles?
It's Orson Welles. In fact, I don't know if that was a lie or not. He has another movie called The Stranger that's even better. He was this Nazi that escaped from the Nuremberg trials or whatever, and he's hiding in a New England town at a boys' prep school. He's an English teacher, cross country coach, and the kids just absolutely love him. They follow him around like a Pied Piper. But there's this guy named and all I can think of is Goober. I'll name Griffith, Edward G. Robinson, Judy.
Yeah.
I've never seen that movie, but that's my reference. He plays a guy trying to track him down, and he doesn't know who he is. And there's also that third movie called Brother Orchid, which Edward G. Robinson is the main character, and he's a mob boss, and they push him out, and he hides in a monastery somewhere in California or whatever, and becomes part of the monastery at the end. He's this mobster. But anyway, Citizen Kane, had to plug those other two movies because originally I was like, Citizen Kane's my favorite, but ask me on another day and my favorite will be Dumb and Dumber. So I mean,
well, I'm not going to say anything negative on who's in Dumb and Dumber, but there's one person I don't like to watch. So anyway, I won't say anything else. Just weirdness is. I mean, we were all weird when we grew up.
Jim
I don't need
Carrey.
to watch. I didn't say that.
You don't want to say.
Maybe that's what I meant, but maybe. So weirdness is just something I don't like to watch because we were weird enough as we grew up. So weird. I don't need more weird.
My favorite genre is horror films. I could watch slasher movies.
Ew.
Oh yeah. Anyway, but Citizen Kane, he's this guy who had everything. And no matter what he acquired, he got like the #1 Hollywood actress as his wife. And he was never happy. He was never content. And his whole life, I mean, he ran for president. He acquired all this wealth. And at the end, do you remember in, I guess it was, what's the Harrison Ford movie where they had the Ark of the Covenant?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You know how they were like boxing everything up on pallets and they're just putting it in a room at the end? Well, that's what they did to this whole guy's mansion at the end. I mean, when you die and you have all this stuff, it's just stuff. He didn't have any good relationships with people, and it was kind of a downer, but it sort of makes you look at life differently, I guess. So that's
and then at the end, he uttered the famous words, "Rosebud." You know what that was, right?
Yeah.
Rosebud was supposed to be his little sleigh, or his the name on his sleigh when he was a kid.
Right. I guess spoiler alerts out the window. If you haven't seen it since 1940.
Yeah, right.
It's shame on you for not seeing it.
I know I can't be responsible for keeping a secret from back then.
After about 5 years, you can, spoiler alerts are gone for certain things, but so the last time he was happy was he was with his mom and dad, and I can't remember if he had a brother or there was kids that were playing and riding the sled, and he was never happy again because his mom and dad basically were trying to run a boarding house. And he was just another mouth to feed in the way she sold him to like some wealthy man who had no heir. And
oh man,
if you ever seen that movie, There Will Be Blood, the guy Daniel Day-Lewis was the main guy. And he basically had a kid that he could raise to take over his empire. And it's very similar to Citizen Kane. He was never happy. Too much was never enough, He was always trying to find something that would make him happy. And
oh, wow.
Most times you can't buy that.
No, no. Yeah, was that bumper sticker? You remember that bumper sticker that like whoever dies with all the toys still dies or something like that?
I know there's one, he who dies with the most toys wins, but your stickers would say it's a counter to that. Do you
Yeah,
win?
still dies.
Do you win? Did you take it with you?
Yeah, you can't take it with you. So we need to wrap it up, and so I appreciate you playing the game with us. I wanted to share my screen again and give folks a little bit more information. You told me I always like to get quotes from people. So instead of a quote from you, you gave me a quote from Mark Twain. So I like this quote. Good decisions come from experience, and experience comes from making bad decisions. That's a really good quote.
I love that quote. And the first time I saw it, it was in a Chinese fortune cookie. I didn't know Mark Twain said it. And I was actually looking for the other one on there about travel, that travel is the enemy of bigotry. And I can't remember exactly how it goes, but I saw that one too. And I'm like, that was from that fortune cookie. So I put that in there too.
That other one is too long to be in a fortune cookie. Wow. That was a long one. We'll have to look that one up.
Oh, that one, the good decisions, that was in a fortune cookie, but the other one was not.
My gosh. Oh, okay. I was like, the other one you sent me was
It said, I don't promote something, an offering to promote. I love kittens and puppies and stray animals, and we don't have any pets. My wife, we're no kids, no pets family. And so I'll take all of our old blankets, pillows, sheets, and towels over to the animal shelter and just donate them. And they love it. They love anything you can take over there. They'll take clothes.
Oh, well, that's good because you asked me. You said you didn't really have an offering because you're semi-retired. You're not really trying to work a big business or anything, but your value and experience in being a teacher is so important on this podcast. I just like the honest truth on how you've made it such a success for you and for the kids that you've served. So you don't have anything to promote, but you really will be happy if people make comments and can find a way to serve in their own community. So you asked me to put a way for the listeners to actually give back, and something that Project Candor supports. So it goes along with what you're just saying about taking all your sheets and blankets. So one organization Project Candor would love to highlight is the K9s For Warriors. It's based right here in Northeast Florida. They pair rescue dogs with veterans facing PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and military sexual trauma. And volunteers are a vital part of this mission, and money as well. So whether it's helping care for the dogs or supporting training or simply showing up consistently, volunteering for K9s For Warriors is a part of a healing journey for both the veteran and the dog. So if that resonates with you, you can learn more at K9forwarriors.org. Sometimes the most meaningful impact starts with one steady presence and 4 loyal paws. So thank you for asking us to highlight that, Eric. And thank you very much for being on the show.
That. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks. It's been such a pleasure.
Sure.
And love you, my cousin. So talk to you soon.
Good to see you again.